more money. Brother Alex, you know Alex? No. Alex from Delhi. Yeah, he's in Bhutan now, so he's good. So study of psychology is very, 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 very important. Biblical Christianity teaches moral responsibility, whereas humanism, Marxism, etc. blame individual moral failings on society or the environment. That's what they do. We believe every individual is morally responsible. Everybody is morally responsible. Our society has a tendency of pampering people, pampering people. And I made a statement that a lot of believers are mental patients, and you all laughed. Here is a story of a real case. We had the church where I was an elder in many years back, when I was in States. We had a believer there, a very nice believer. He could sing beautifully, and very nice believer, very smart, very intelligent. But he had a problem. He get tired of taking care of his family. 6 months he is in the mental hospital every year. 6 months. Then after 6 months he will come home. For 6 months he'll take care of his wife and children. Then he will playing, mentally sick again. Because he's tired. He wants to go back to the mental hospital. There they treat them, pamper them. Good food is given, taken out for swimming and playing tennis, and they have, consult TV there, they will watch it, all these things. Mental patients are treated very nicely there, So he likes that, no responsibility, just eat, play, watch, swim. This is it. Because everybody say, you are not well, you are not well. So, for years he was in a Baptist church. Then he came to our church. Well, so he was there 6 months, he was very good, going very good, and he was actually singing very well in our choir and all that. Then one day his wife called us. He said that he come home in the night, in the middle of the night, So my husband is not feeling well. He's behaving wrongly. He has brought some drunkards home. It's 1 o'clock at night from some bar, They're creating problems and all. We went there and So we asked his wife, what is his problem? She said that he has this problem every 6 months. He's tired of this and that. So we gave him some corrections and we told him, you lay down on bed, 8 o'clock, you must get down bed, whether you sleepy or not. Just lay down. And he said, I will do whatever my elders will tell me, I'll do it. So he lay down 8 o'clock, but laying down there, he created all problems. Whatever he can, shouting and all kinds of things he will. So his wife again called. So we went there. So we said, his name is Steve. He said, Steve, we told you to be on the bed. I obeyed that. But said, you're not shouting. You didn't tell me that. So we said, we don't want you to shout and all that. Anyway, he began to create problems and problems and problems. And then everybody in the church knew that he was a mental patient. Last many years, 6 months he is in the mental hospital. Well, we talked with Steve, and we elders were of the opinion that Steve is not a mental patient, even though everybody says. So we told the church that Steve is not we don't believe Steve is a mental patient. We believe Steve is consciously acting a mental patient. He should be disciplined. Oh, the whole church said, what? You people are saying that? You look at his history. Last 10 years he was in the mental hospitals every 6 months. Now you people say that they're not. What are you talking about? Well, he cannot be disciplined. You have to take him to the mental hospital. That's what. I said, no. So the following Sunday I gave a teaching on what is mental problem and all these kind of things. And after I gave the teachings, then everybody said, now we believe Steve is not a mental patient. So we'll take action on him. So I recommended that the Steve must be put disciplined by the church. He must be put on probation. If he does not stop it, then he must be put out. So when we were talking about this action, Steve was sitting there. Steve said, can I say a few words? He said, sure, Steve. He came forward and said, I am no mental patient. From tomorrow morning, I will go to work and take care of my family. You stop the procedures. So we stopped the procedures for the next 6 months. Still, he had no mental problem. Every morning he will go to work and all. 6 months he got tired. So he's very smart, So one day he came, before he started acting, he came and said, I am changing my church. I am going to another church. So don't come after me. I am no more a member of your church. So he went alone. His wife and children won't go. There for a couple of months he behaved properly, then he started showing it. So the church said that he should be taken. Yes, they have taken him to the mental hospital. So Steve actually died in the mental hospital. Steve was not a mental patient. See, the secular world will see him as a mental patient simply because he does not want to take moral responsibility for family, for his wife and children, working, providing for the family. He likes the easy life. He is only a person who gets tired of doing things. That was his problem. You cannot label that. That's why I said a lot of people are mental patients, because a lot of husbands not providing for their family. The wife is sick, not taking to hospital. Wife is lonely, not providing company, not talking to her. Even when he is at home, he is not talking, not providing company, not talking to the children. So what do you call them? I call them all mental patients. Yeah. So we Christians need to study psychology from a Christian perspective. And we need to behave. We need to behave very mature, sober, responsible, morally responsible, spiritually responsible beings. If I'm a husband, then I must know my, husband responsibility. I must know my husband rights. If I'm a father, I must know what my responsibility to my children are, what my privileges are from my children. I have to measure up. That's psychology. Lot of people think that, buying a book, reading a book, going to a beach, going for hiking or, something like that, or, going for a picnic, it's a waste of money. It all should be put in Muthoot Bank. Sorry, Muthoot Bank, I'm not advertising for you. No advertisement. State Bank of India. But people think that. No, it's again, the mind needs food. Mind needs food. Mind's food is reading, intellectual food, it has to be given feeding. It has to be given the emotional food. Talking with the relations, with the friends, with looking at flowers, petting the animals, going to the aquariums and going to picnic places and all that, that's all to refresh the mind, right? And our willpower needs food, how to make right decisions, how to stick with the decision. Otherwise we are like the general people, every first of the year, New Year, resolutions. New Year resolutions are butchered on the 2nd of the New Year. Why? Because we are mental patients. Why you make decisions? Who forced you to make decisions? New Year resolutions. Don't make New Year resolutions if you don't want to carry them through. These are all weaknesses of the mind. So we need to train our own mind to make decisions correctly and then to stick with the decision. There is no use in doing it 1 or 2 days. Make it a pattern. You want to read 5, if they made a decision, I will read 5 chapters every day, then you may read 5 chapters every day. You made a decision, I will get up at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whatever time you made, you get up at that time. Except maybe on days when you are sick or something. But do it. So our mind needs to be trained properly. The church has to train people's minds. I think it's a great asset to have mentally strong people in the church. People who can think right. It's a problem. You have to think right, right? You have to feel right. You can cry with those who cry, as the Lord said. Weep with those who weep. And rejoice with those who rejoice. There are times when you have to laugh. You laugh. There are times when you have to shed tears. You shed tears. There are times when you have to show anger against sin. You show your anger against sin. That's all the strength of a mind. The church needs to minister to the people. Then only we can have the right Christian perspective, the viewpoint. What we have is, like some laugh where they should not be laughing, some crying where they should not be crying, some are getting angry where they have no reason to get angry, some are frustrated where they should not be frustrated, some are shouting where they should be keeping quiet, some are overeating where they should not be eating, some are not eating where they should be eating. All these problems. So we needed to train our people to function properly. Of course, to train our people to function properly, we need to be functioning properly first, and we need to know what is proper functioning. All these things. The world has brainwashed us. What the world does, they specialize you in one area of life and then brand you successful if you are successful in that one area. You got an IAS, you are a collector, you are a secretary, you are a success, right? Whether you divorced your wife, whether your children are lost and all that, you are a success because you are now the chief secretary. What a success. A chief secretary who does not know how to manage his wife. A chief secretary who does not know how to take care of his children. So I say you are a failure, man. You should resign your job. You should say that if I cannot take care of one person, my wife, how am I going to take care of a state? So that balanced growth, that's what success. Success is to be measured by the balanced growth. Every person is blessed with certain talents and abilities at birth, right? How well you develop those talents and abilities for the glory of God, that's what decides your success. Your success is not measured by your neighbor's success. You have nothing to do with your neighbor. Neighbor was born with talents in painting, so he is a great painter. You were born with talents in singing, so you be a great singer. Don't compare with your neighbor. So we need to develop a holistic, integrated growth of our personality, our people's personality. If we can do that in the church, everybody who comes in the church are helped to develop a integrated, holistic growth. The mind, the soul, the body and spirit and everything. It should be there. That's what we should aim at. We should aim at that. We should never say that because somebody has made a lot of money, he is successful. No, money does not decide success. Yes, money is important. I am saying important. If you are given the ability to make money ethically, then you must make money ethically. But never think that because you made money alone, you are a success. No, you are not a success. It is this integrated growth. Physical. Some child was given, very good legs, long legs, and it very quick. He can run. He should get gold medal for 100 meter in the Olympics because he is blessed with that ability. Parents have to encourage him. What's wrong in it? What's wrong in it? We should encourage people to do that. Yes. But some people think that running is wrong, playing is wrong. No. The whole time as you used to say that play while you play, study while you study, right? Means everything must have an assigned slot in your life. So there are people in the church who does not read Bible, does not pray, does not memorize scriptures, does not go for evangelism. They are after something only. either after education or money or whatever is. No. You cannot. You have to be a well-balanced person. So I believe that only a Christian psychologist can really help people. Somebody who has a correct worldview will also be psychologically healthy person. So psychology and Christianity, the secular psychology and Christianity are not complementary, they are contradictory. Because secular psychology does not see man as the Bible describes. They see man as an evolutionary product, does not recognize man as a soul spirit, only has something called a mental faculty. So they cannot help, but a Christian psychologist can help. The famous psychologist, worldly psychologist, Sigmund Freud, B.F. Skinner, I.P. Pavlov, Carl Rogers, Abraham Maslow, Eric Fromm, there are some of the famous names you will hear when you take the psychology books and all that. They all have their psychotherapy theories and different theories. That's what governs. But not one of them is a born-again Christian. Not one of them acknowledges that man has a spirit. How can they help? All the psychiatrists and the psychologists and the counselors are the product of these Freud and Skinner and Rogers and all these people. How can they? I have read all their, not all their books. I have read about their psychological schools and systems. Not one of them. No wonder they are creating a pagan world, Swami Vivekananda called Kerala as the it's a house of the mad people. Bhrandalayam, that's what he said, the house of the mad people. Because everybody is a philosopher. And everybody knows better than the other one. In the mental hospital, one person was newly admitted, so all the others asked, who are you? He said, I'm the Prime Minister of India. Forget about it. Here we have the president. So that's the case. No, we Christians can really help people. What we should do is to bring God's truth to the deceived discipline. Psychology is not something we should hate, no. But secular psychology is something we should reject. We should bring God into psychology. God's creation man. So psychology is the study of man's soul and mind. Yes. Only a Christian psychologist can have a right insight into the spiritual and mental realm of man. Christianity is more than psychology. However, Christian psychology is better than mere psychology. Christianity and psychology are compatible because the worldview of biblical Christianity contains a psychology. That's the reason. The worldview of Christianity contains a psychology. No Christian will rule out that man has a sukhe, a soul. No, man has a mind. Man has a mind. Many people think it is wrong to listen to music. No, you need to listen to music. Many people think it is wrong to go to an art studio for an art exhibition. I think you should go. Watch. Yes. You should watch. Because God is a great artist, you know that? Look how beautiful a world He has designed. How nicely He has painted those fishes in the bottom of the sea. The orchids, how nicely in the forest He has painted them. Our God is a great artist. Then why? If we are created in the image of God, then we must also be artists. Enjoy them. God is a great scientist. He only has invented all these theories, the gravitational force and everything. The thermodynamics and everything God has created. So we can study science. But study it as God has made it. Don't try to invent. Try to discover what God has made. Invent, yes. You can invent some medicines and invent some instrument and all that. That's not wrong. So we need to. Our mind needs to. I encourage People go, sometimes spend a day in the museum, watch those animals, see how God has made the lions and the tigers and the bears and, all these, and see how they behave and all that. Sometimes go to the seaside, maybe a great aquarium, see the fish. Go to the planetarium, see how the stars and all these things function, Yes, go to. Sometimes you go to different, science museum. See, how the world operates and how scientists operate, what instruments they have made. You do that, Why you want all the money? Spend them on it. It is not all eating and eating. Eating is only to surviving, We don't live to eat. We eat it to live. Take your children. Give them. Develop their mind, that's what. Develop their spirit by teaching them the word of God and prayer and their relationship with God and salvation, all that thing. That we do. So I'm not talking about that. But develop their mind. We need our children with good mental capacity. When the shocks come, when the problems come, when hatred come, when fights come, they can stand strong. They always live above the environment. They are never subject to the environment. A mentally strong person will always do that. He will survive any amount of sorrow, any amount of crisis in life, because he is a psychologically, mentally strong person. He is not subjected to any of these problems. Look at Job. Look at Joseph. Look at Daniel. Look at Mordecai. How much psychological persecution and mental tension they have gone through, but they never lost the balance. They never lost the balance. But look at Judas. What did he do? He lost the mental balance. He hanged himself, right? He could have gone to Jesus Christ and asked for forgiveness. Master, I have done what I should have never done. Is it possible for you to forgive me? Lord said, yes. It's for your sin I'm going to die. See, he didn't do that. That's what many people do. They have a problem. They commit suicide. They commit suicide. The mental problem. Christians commit suicide. Born again Baptist believers commit suicide. Yes. Saul committed suicide. Samson committed suicide. What was the last word? Let me perish, die with these men. He pulled it on himself and died. Giants, they commit suicide. Is that terrible? Terrible. And looking at the lifestyle of these men, you know that they were psychological patients. What was Saul like? Little jealousy. They sang a song, to David they gave 10,000, but to Saul only gave 1,000. So what was he doing? He was so bitter, then he was one to kill David and all that. Finally, where did he end up? Samson, he was a mental patient. God's word said that he was not to touch anything dead corpse. He killed a lion and then he went and put his hand inside the corpse and pulled out the honey and ate, and he did not tell his parents because he knew his parents will scold him. He had no fear for God's word. And repeatedly he has taken, the jawbone of an ass. He was not supposed to touch it. He said repeatedly lies lying down in the bosom of that woman. How many times he said? Samson had lost fear for God. I say he was a mental patient. He was addicted to, sex. What tragedy. There are people like that. In Christianity they are there. So we need to study psychology correctly, not from a world's perspective, from a Christian perspective, from the biblical perspective. Why are we getting angry? Why are we getting discouraged? Why are we fighting each other? Why are we jealous? We need to counsel people. Yes. So psychology is very, very important. Man created in the image of God must behave as an image bearer. Man must behave as the image bearer. We reflect God's character, God's being. Every one of our action and activities and our words and thinking must reflect God's values. Yet full-time workers are mental patients. I mean, it's not something that is that's excluded. Missionaries and prophets and teachers and all, you find mental patients everywhere. That's what I say. You got mental patients everywhere. Because they are not thinking correct. They are not thinking correct. Christianity acknowledges the existence of the supernatural. Christianity acknowledges the existence of the supernatural, our God. That is the supermind. You want to know how a mind works? Look at Jesus Christ. Jesus became a man. He knew how to get angry, but you never see him frustrated, never see him, depressed, never. You can see him angry. He was angry with Peter. When Peter tried to prevent Jesus from going to, Jerusalem and all that, and Jesus even called Peter, you Satan. Jesus knew how to. In the temple, Jesus taken the whip and he expressed his anger against sin. You have made the house of prayer the house of thieves. So Jesus knew how to get angry. Getting angry is not sin. Because Bible says, be angry but sin not. There are times you have to show your anger. But the anger should never control you. You should control your anger. There are times you have to show anger for 30 seconds. If you show it for 31 seconds, you are wrong. You simply say, no sir, I don't like it. Okay? Understood? Fine. Okay. Now how are you? That's the way you go. That chapter is over. Some people like rain from morning till evening, talk about the same thing. He's a mental patient. You need to know how to show your anger. 1 second, 1 second. You said it, they got it. Such people will be respected. Somebody who get angry for every little thing, once they get angry, very difficult to cool them. Even if they have nitrogen, frozen nitrogen is poured on them, nitrogen will be melted. Not them, And people have no control on it. When they get angry, they are like a bull in a china shop. Man, you can just hear noise of, china dishes breaking. Somebody has to cool them down. No, you don't need to, unless you are a mental patient, So we need to study psychology very correctly. Psychology is an essential part of our worldview because we have a mind. We have a mind. And our mind is really, one of the three most important: body, soul, spirit, and our mind. Mind is part of it actually. You can say soul, spirit, and body. Soul is basically the mind. So we need to develop. We need to. Yes, Christianity acknowledges the existence of the supernatural, including a consciousness within man that is more than an epiphany. It's not simply what you call an appearance of our brain. People think that it's all our soul is simply a part of our brain. No, our brain is a chemical organism. Even when we die, our soul spirit still continues. Abraham and Lazarus and rich man, they all communicated there. They were not at that point thinking with their brain. So brain is only a small organ in that one. And true, the brain is related to, it's connected with thousands of, connections, thousands and not thousands, tens and thousands of connections are there. Wired, neurons is passing, millions of neurons is passing through. And everything is controlled by our mind. We think brain controls our mind. I say mind controls our brain. There's an interrelationship, yes, definitely. So we need to study how our brain, our mind functions. God willing, next week we will look a little more deeper into psychology, Yes. Thank you.